What's going on, Dodger fans? Thank you for tuning in to the last 2024 regular season episode of the Klein Dodgers podcast. We are presented by Tick Pick, Underdog Fantasy, and Fansided. Kevin Klein speaking. We are done with the regular season, and I'm so pumped to be joined by a new guest on the Klein Dodgers podcast. We're going to welcome the voice of Los Angeles, some might say, Evan Lovett of LA in a Minute. You could follow him all over the social media platforms at LA in a Minute. Let me pass it over to Evan. How you doing tonight? And thank you for joining the show.
What is up, Kevin? Thanks for having me, man. Fan of the show. Glad to be here. This was the ideal day for me to come on, man. Any day during the baseball season is great to talk about the Dodgers, but 2 times in February during spring training, and then once you're in the postseason and it's starting to shake out are the times where I think you can be the most optimistic. Hey, these things go right. We win X amount of games. Let's go. We got a ring. We got a parade. So that's what I'm here for. Today's a great day. Thanks for having me, man.
I hope we get that parade. That is what we've been hoping for all season long. It's a grind. This season kind of flew by, if I'm being honest. It was a fun Dodger season. A lot of highs, some lows, a lot of injuries, but we made it through. The Los Angeles Dodgers ended up finishing this season with the best record in baseball. They've got the 1 seed in the National League. Therefore, they're going to get a bye. They took care of business against the Padres. They just swept the Rockies. So now we get to just chill for the next week or so and watch this wild card round go down. And in my Discord feed, I mentioned that you were going to be coming on, and we've got some people in the chat already. They are fans of LA in a Minute. So they're pumped to have you on.
Well, I'm glad to be here. You brought up so many points just even in that monologue right now. I mean, that I hope we dive into, but one thing you said, best record in baseball, didn't feel like it. And that's a testament to how good the organization is, because it did feel like a bumpy path. And towards the end, it got a little dicey, but to end up with the best record in baseball, that's amazing considering all that, because it was never really smooth this year. In the past, it's been smooth. But another thing you said, and I don't know if you want to jump into it, I'll let you drive, but the break worries me. You said something to the effect of, we got a week to chill back and blah, blah, blah. I get nervous with that. So, I mean, I don't know when you want to discuss that, but let's make sure that's on the agenda.
You're the guest tonight. We can talk about that right now. So this is the 3rd year of this new postseason format, and the Dodgers, for the 3rd year in a row, are getting a bye. And the last 2 years, it did not go well for the Dodgers. They've only managed to win 1 playoff game despite having the time off, the bye, and the home field advantage. As I have to unfortunately remind fans, we lost to the Padres in 4, and then we got swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks last season in the NLDS. This season, we don't know yet who the Dodgers are going to face in the NLDS, because this is actually going to come down to an extra day due to the weather postponement. But the Braves, the Mets, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are all trying to vie for some postseason spots right now. 2 of the 3 will get in, but we for sure know the San Diego Padres will be on that side of the bracket, and the other team remains to be seen. But what's got you a little nervous about the time off?
Okay, so a lot of good teams. Let's talk about this. I hate looking at matchups because you got to beat who you got to beat, right? To be the best, you got to beat the best. But it's a tough slate, man. Whether you play the D-backs, the Padres, even the Mets are dangerous. The Phillies, of course, the Braves. Like, there's no easy outs. I mean, it's a tough road, but I just worry about that break. Yes, you set up the pitching staff, but I always feel the competitiveness and the hot team. And to have that hot hand, you got to be playing. And that's what we've seen the last couple of years, where the teams that are playing and winning are the ones that come into that series ready to play and win. So that's kind of where I get nervous with that break.
Yeah. Dodger Blue 82. Evan, as a native Angelino, thank you for all the history you're showing about our great city.
Of course. It's an amazing city. I love it. I mean, every day I'm discovering something new. Today, non-Dodger related, but I found out the first strip mall in Los Angeles history, and LA is like the land of strip malls and the strip mall capital of the world. So I went to report on it. So it's a great city. People, places, food, all the history and culture that we were never taught about. So I love kind of uncovering that stuff and researching that stuff. So thank you for Dodger Blue 82 for supporting. I appreciate it.
Yeah, smash that like button while you guys are here. The likes go a long way. Moose 1032, one of our top listeners, no doubt about it. Baseball is so repetitive. That's what worries me about the
Correct.
break.
Correct.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the break has not been kind to the Dodgers, but Vasse reported per Max Muncy, there will be a watch party of the wild card round this year, led by Muncy, Miguel Rojas, and Will Smith.
What
They
kind
got
of watch party? What kind of watch party are they talking about?
don't know, but hopefully they're stone cold sober and they're doing their homework.
I don't know. Okay, I don't want to go into the sober thing, but I'll tell you something that I've noticed that I loved seeing out of Shohei this final week of the season is the emotion, right? And the reason I kind of laugh at the sober thing is because maybe they should have a few drinks and loosen up, because I always feel, or not always, but recently the Dodgers have felt that they're built for the regular season, but not necessarily built for the postseason. They're professionals. They do it every day. They're almost like the baseball robots, but you get those plucky D-backs or the emotional Padres, and those teams can just coalesce and like use the fire and use the emotion to come alive at the right time. So I like the idea of a watch party. I say have a couple drinks, but no, but I like that they're doing it. And I like what I saw at a Shohei the final week, where he seems to be getting fired up. And look, if your guy is getting fired up, then everybody's going to get fired up. And I think the Dodgers need it. But Moose 1032, the repetitiveness, you're absolutely right. That is what it's about. How do you simulate game reps?
Yeah.
How do you simulate games? It's going to be tough. But I would like to see, Kev, and let me know this. I don't know if we know, how many teams have had the 5 days off and got to the World Series or won the World Series. I wonder what the precedent is on that, because I know it's not us. So that's what I'm curious about.
We got a small sample size, but I can tell you from the National League side, it's been the 6th seed that's made it to that won the NL pennant and made it with the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. But in 2022, the Astros, I believe, had a bye and went on to win the World Series. And they're the only team that was successful because the Texas Rangers won this most recent past World Series.
Yeah. Okay. Aeronetics at Astros 2022. That's right. That's a good point. And the Astros are a fierce organization. I know we hate them, but that's a really, really consistent organization. Let's just put it that way, man.
No, I agree with you 100%. And despite some of their struggles and the lack of flashiness in years past, I still think they're going to make it back to the World Series this year. They're like cockroaches. No matter who they lose or who gets hurt, they find a way.
You know, and it's listen, I'll stop. I was going to say, look, you know what? They find a way is a good way to put it. I don't want to give too much credit out here to the Astros. You're right. That's a good way to put it. Moving on.
Ang question: will the Dodgers play against one of the last 3 teams to make the playoffs? D-backs, Braves, or Mets? Well, like I was saying, it would be the winner of the Padres and then one of those teams. So we don't know yet. We got to wait for that last game to be played with the weather postponement between
the doubleheader, isn't it?
Yes, the Braves and the Mets. And there's talks that they're gonna, on the Atlanta side, wait to see the outcome of the first game. And if they lose, they will start Chris Sale in the second game.
They have to play 2 no matter what? Or is it like if somebody wins the first game, they don't even play the second? I don't know. I'm asking, honestly.
Yeah. As much as I know about baseball, I actually don't know the answer to that one right now. I think they have to play no matter what, but I think the Atlanta Braves would pivot and shuffle starters based off the outcome. They would just throw some scrub if they take the first game. But I'm sure someone in the chat knows the answer. But I do think they have to play both games no matter what. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's all good. It's not the Dodgers. So we can move on. So, Evan, I wanted to ask you this because you have fans, including myself. How did you get into LA in a minute? What kind of sparked the idea and how did it kind of expand?
You know, I was actually a sports journalist out of college. I went to UCLA, worked for the LA Times for a little bit, but I was covering like local high school stuff, women's volleyball, USC golf. So really like lower level on the sports wrong stuff. Ended up getting into the private sector, into advertising, all that kind of stuff, but always had the itch to create. I'm always a news guy. I still get 2 newspapers. I get the Daily News and the LA Times physical edition. I'm the guy who texts everybody when like I hear a story or a headline or something on Twitter. I just love kind of relaying that information. My son got into TikTok. I was like, stay off of the screen. He didn't want to stay off of the screen. I was like, all right, if you're going to watch screen time, what we're going to do is I'm going to like basically summarize the newspaper in 1 minute. Like these are 3 things that happened in LA yesterday in a minute. That did turn into LA in a minute, but what really turned into LA in a minute that I know that we're familiar with is like I walk across the LA River every day. And one day I'm just walking across laughing. It's dry. It's a concrete channel. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Why is this a river? I was born and raised in LA. We never called it the LA River. We called it the Wash. So I was like, why is this? So I right then and there, I was like, a brief history of the LA River. People kind of got a kick out of that. And I'm always driving around or walking around thinking like palm trees. Palm trees aren't from LA. How they become a symbol of our city. Or, you know, all these fast food places that are from LA. Or like, what is Dodger orange? Why do the Dodgers have orange as a complementary color? Not on the uniforms, but if you remember the original seats, one of the levels was orange. Unical 76, Union Oil was their first and exclusive sponsor when they first opened the stadium, actually gave them the loan to help them close on the stadium, O'Malley. So orange is a legendary color that we never really think about for the Dodgers. So all this stuff, all these facts, I just love that info and those tidbits, and my like inherent need to share info or to tell info to people turn into LA in a minute. So
that's dope.
I started.
Yeah. I learned so much about LA stuff because of you. Like I remember you did one whenever it was about Junior's Deli.
Oh, good call, bro.
That one I felt because that was actually my favorite LA deli, and it was sad when they closed.
Went there on one of my first job interviews. Actually, the guy was like, instead of meeting me at the company or the offices, like, let's meet at Junior's Deli. I was young. I was like, that's weird. Like, but it was cool and obviously made a memory at a legendary LA place. That was interesting. Good point.
If you ever do one about pizza, I'm your guy. I've done my research.
What do you got on pizza, man?
You know, Pizzeria say?
Yeah.
I think been hearing that they're world famous now. They're in like top rankings.
I keep hearing that name. I haven't tried it. I will tell you this shirt right here, which is a dope shirt, Shohei, was given to me by Tommy at La Sorted's. I don't know if you've been to La Sorted's, the pizza place in, I don't know if it's Echo Park per se, but somewhere close to the stadium. And he does fantastic sandwiches, but it's a Dodger spot and everything about it. He has an Oral Hershiser life-size cutout. The logo is like Dodger inspired. It's like very, very Dodger oriented. It's like the Dodger pizza place, and it's new. So it like doesn't have like the hugest rep, but he got pretty big. So anyway, shout out to La Sorted's, which has really good pizza, and that's like a Dodger spot near the stadium.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, the pizza place I go to near the stadium is Quarter Sheets.
There. Heard so much about that. That's really lives up to the billing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Gotta try that.
Yeah. There are some good gems in LA. We are a pizza powerhouse.
I'll tell you this. I won't get too deep into it, but do you know the first pizza in LA?
No, I wouldn't know that.
Casa d'Amore, 1939. Now, Farmers Market has a place called Pizza d'Amore that opened in 1949, so 10 years later. But Casa d'Amore in Hollywood was actually the first pizza in LA. But the oldest pizza place that's still standing is called Baroni's in the Valley, in Valley Village, which serves pizza with Monterey Jack instead of mozzarella in like a rectangle tray. So some people are kind of like, that's a weird kind of pizza, but that's the oldest pizza in LA. Cool. Casa d'Amore, aka Pizza d'Amore, was the first pizza in LA. Just interesting.
That's awesome. So yeah, thanks to Aaron Natick in the chat. Sorry, that's the wrong comment. Braves are the 5th seed if they win one of the two. Mets will be the 5th if they sweep both. And he also mentioned something about if there's a split between the Mets and the Braves, then the Diamondbacks are out. So there's a lot going on here. I don't know who I want to root for, but I'm not going to be sympathetic towards the Arizona Diamondbacks if they don't make the playoffs.
I was looking at the teams and I was like, which one do I want to miss the playoffs? And put it this way, I'd be happy with any of those teams. Like there's no love lost across the board. Braves would be a good one just to be like, get them out of there and what they've sort of represented. But D-backs, D-backs are scary, man. I'd want them out of the playoffs more than anything strategically because, to be honest, them and the Padres scare me the most of anybody in the NL, if you want to just be honest about it.
Yeah, the Padres are a big threat in my book. I'm not as scared about the Diamondbacks, but yeah, the Braves in a short series get me a little nervous.
Yep.
And yeah, the Padres, they play us tough. Moose 1032, Kevin and Evan, the ultimate collab. Love to see it. Love to see the chat. Dig it. We've got Dennis Gonzalez. Hell yeah, I want to go to La Sortids when I come back to LA.
Yes.
Hope you get to do it, Dennis. What's up, Craig? I see you in the chat. What's up, BC? Hope you're having a good night. Kenny Chung, always listen to this cast on my way to work, but have never been on the channel chat. Welcome, Kenny, and thank you for your support.
What up, dude? Literal.
All right. I'll get back to the chat in a second. But so the Dodgers, 98 and 64. We were talking about alcohol jokingly a minute ago. And when the Dodgers had their celebration after defeating the Padres, winning the division, I expected them to kind of come out to Coors Field and be a little sluggish. But it was the complete opposite. The bats were swinging. They completely just annihilated the Colorado Rockies. They looked postseason ready. If this is the Dodgers offense we're going to see in October, then it's going to be fire. I mean, they outscored Colorado 26 runs to 7 runs. So they not only had the bats show up, they held them in check with the pitching. Yamamoto had a pretty good outing. Landon Knack made an appearance, and then we ran a bullpen game as well. And everyone did a good job overall. So some good momentum to see for the Dodgers heading into October. And to round out the month of September, the Dodgers went 16 and 10. So you'll take that as well.
Definitely take that. Absolutely. Good series. Absolutely fun to see them pitch. Again, it's the Rockies. But get focused, get healthy, get Freddie back. Where do we stand with Freddie right now?
Yeah, Freddie Freeman was going to be something I would cover as well real quick to give you guys an update. So Dave Roberts said they fully believe Freddie Freeman will be ready for when the NLDS starts. He continues to improve every day. As an insurance policy, Max Muncy said he will be taking some reps at first base.
I don't even want to hear that, though. I mean, good, but go on.
Hopefully that's not the outcome. But yeah, if Freddie's a no-go, Muncy will likely be the Dodgers' first baseman, which then I would imagine Kike Hernandez would probably cover third base.
Talk about hot. That guy got hot. Did you see that bomb he hit? Was that yesterday? The 430, dude. I was like, okay. Because listen, Kike was clutch his first time around with the Dodgers. Like he was a postseason guy who was clutch. And like, I'm again a big fan of emotion. Think we need that. I think we need a guy like him playing a big role because I just like that energy. I think Teoscar is going to bring that. But it's good to have Kike being hot. That's for sure.
Yeah, Kike has been hot. Was looking at the September splits for everyone, and he stood out batting around 333 in the month of September with a few home runs. So he's been getting some good work out there with the bat. And like you mentioned, this is a guy that's clutch, has the tendency to show up in the big moments, especially in the postseasons for the Dodgers. And so Kike will have a role for this team. Don't know what it will be yet, whether it's a platoon against the lefty pitchers or spot start here and there if the Dodgers feel like they
wearing the glasses permanently.
Believe so, yeah.
Love it. I love it. I think it's good. I like when guys do that. By the way, I don't want to jump in, but BC's been throwing some good info in the chat. Record versus the Braves, Mets, Zona, San Diego, but 1-5 versus Philly stands out by far the worst.
Yeah.
The only reason it caught my eye, and thank you for the info. But the Dodgers in 88 were 1-11 against the Mets, who they played in the NLCS and beat in 7 games. So the postseason is different. It's a good point, but I always love to pull that out because, again, man, in October, everything changes. Everything changes. So it's going to be interesting to see. But that's a good frame of reference. And the Phillies are also a good, scary team. So we'll see what goes on there. Also, hold on, Maria. And this was curious. And then, Kev, I'll give it back to you. Does CT3 make the roster over Pages? That's a very good question.
It's a good question, but it's the wrong question because Andy Pages is basically, I think, a lock at this point. They've been getting his bat in the lineup almost every day now, and he's been on fire for the Dodgers as of late. I actually pulled up his stats to end the season. He finished with 13 home runs and a 712 OPS, which is decent for a rookie, especially one that doesn't have a lot of experience down in AAA. But over his last 7 games, 273 batting average, 3 home runs, an OPS well over 1,000. So he's been hitting it well with the bat and playing some good defense. The question isn't Pages versus Taylor at this point. It's Taylor versus Kiermaier. And I think that is the biggest question right now because Kevin Kiermaier, one, dislocated a finger, though I don't think the injury is very serious. But the Dodgers might feel like they want to go with Chris Taylor because of the loyalty, how long he's been there, just the history of going back versus Kiermaier, who's a new guy around the scene but has a lot of experience, including the postseason. But they haven't really been utilizing him a lot over the last few weeks. And I think Kiermaier's role would just be kind of defensive insurance out there in the late innings and can lay down a bunt. And if I was in charge, I would have Kiermaier on the roster over Chris Taylor. But my gut tells me that they're going to lean Chris Taylor for all the reasons I just said. And sometimes...
But why would you rather have Kiermaier? You're a defense. You want him for that 9th inning defense? Is that the role? What's your role on him? And bunting? I mean, is that the...
Yes. And yeah, so those are the main reasons. I feel like with the Rojas injury, I don't want to chance it in case he has to come out of a game early and then Edman gets moved to shortstop and now you're stuck with Andy Pages in center field. Personally, I feel like the Dodgers don't even need to use all their bats as pinch hitters. And even though Chris Taylor, who is actually doing pretty well over his last 7 games, 9 for 19, a home run, 474 batting average on the season, though, hitting 202 with a 598 OPS. I mean, splitting hairs, but go ahead.
I'm probably putting too much stock in this, and I'm usually the guy. Well, forget what I'm usually the guy. The whole year I was hating on Chris Taylor. I'm going to just be honest. He looked terrible. I'm not saying anything new. I mean, and I always thought it looks like he has like an eye problem. He's always like doing like this overly where I'm like, bro, he should get like his eyes checked because he sure strikes out a lot. But somebody pointed out, I think he's hitting 303 in September. BC, you look like you got all the info. If you could check that, let me know. Because I heard that he's hitting 303 in September. But what always is in the back of my mind, and look, you can't hold on to this, but I do. I want to say it was 2019. It might have been 2018. Might have been 2017. Jeez. That series against the Brewers where he made a diving. I will never forget this. My wife and I took a Uber to the Hollywood Forever Cinespia. How do you say it? Cinespia, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
We're going to see Halloween at Hollywood Forever. And we took an Uber and I'm like streaming the game in the car, and streaming wasn't quite what it was yet. So it's like a little buffering and like kind of spotty. You're like, trying to watch it. We see Taylor make that catch, that impossible, like backhanded diving catch in the gap to like save the game late in the game. I was like, wow, it's so amazing. Then we go to the cemetery and I'm like, dude, I don't even want to see this movie. I want to see the Dodgers. And then Taylor ended up getting a game when he hit that game. Yeah. And he was literally like the hero of that series. I know that's just one time, but clutch is clutch. And you said it. He's been there. Roberts values that. The Dodgers organization values that. I do like Kiermaier. He's at least in his prime was as good as any center field, as good as any outfielder in baseball defensively.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. That's a tough one. You bring up a good. I'm leaning Taylor right now. Despite all year I was hating on Taylor, I like him. He's the Dodger, and
yeah,
I go with them.
I mean, we're splitting hairs here, and it's the last roster spot, so you can't put too much stock into it. But it's basically going to come down to preference. And here's my little quick minute fact for you. What if I told you in 2020 during the World Series, Kevin Kiermaier hit 360 against the Dodgers with 2 home runs, 1,100 OPS, and even last year in the wild card round against the Twins. He went 2 for 5, so 400, had an RBI as well. So lifetime not the best postseason hitter, but he's had some moments as well.
He's been there and he shined. That World Series one is pretty telling. So that's interesting. Not to go there, but didn't Kershaw also have a good World Series with no fans there too, though?
Kershaw was phenomenal in that World
right.
Series.
And I hate this. I don't want to be that guy. Sorry, Kersh. I love Kersh. Hold on. Let's talk about the pitching. Somebody asked Yamamoto or Flaherty in the chat. I want to give credit where credit was due. I thought I saw that, and that was a very good question.
Yeah, we'll get to that question. We can get to that in just a quick second. Let me take a quick commercial break real quick. So earlier this month, we partnered with Underdog Fantasy, and I don't know if you play daily fantasy, Evan, with football or baseball.
Do not anymore, but I did at one point.
Yeah, so I got my ass kicked today with NFL, so I'm hoping to turn it around for the postseason, and we'll get some picks in there and talk, guys. But I love Underdog Fantasy. I'm so glad they partnered with us. And Underdog is super easy to play, and it's even easier to get started. Go to their easy-to-use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Right now, sign up with the promo code INCLINE, and Underdog will give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick-em entry plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code INCLINE to claim your new customer special of a mystery player pick in your deposit offer. You must be 18 or older, 19 or older in the following states of Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or over in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void this in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpagambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, you can call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Okay, so I would like to spotlight that question, but I'd have to read through the chat and find it. But we can talk pitching. So okay. Yamamoto or Flaherty, it's going to be Jack Flaherty in game one. You can take that to the bank, and here's why. Earlier today, I think it was, I was reading, they would only use Yamamoto one time in the NLDS. So therefore, if you were to pitch him in game one, you wouldn't be able to use him in game 5. And this is because they want to make sure he has enough rest. He's also coming off the injury. They don't want to overwork this guy. It's only the NLDS. We got a long way to go if we're trying to look towards the rest of the postseason. You still got the NLCS and the World Series. So it'd be Flaherty in game 1 because then you can use him in a game 5 if necessary. And then Yamamoto, I'm feeling pretty strong about him going game 2. We'll talk more about his season later on. And then game 3, it looks like it'll probably be Walker Buehler. And then I don't know if he'll start game 4, but Landon Knack would be the bulk guy.
I know.
Where do you stand on that?
All right, going back to Flaherty, I must mention as a Valley guy that Jack Flaherty he played at Sherman Oaks Little League and Studio City Harvard Westlake. So as a proud Valley guy, I got to bring that up. Now, I think he'd be an excellent number 3, a good number 2. But as a number 1, you're going to get something around 5 to hopefully 6 innings and 3 runs. Like that. That's what I feel you're going to get. He can dominate. Now, can he make me eat my words and pitch a complete game, allowing 1 run? Absolutely. He has great stuff. He's a good pitcher, but the postseason's about those aces and those guys that can dominate consistently. You need 2 horses. Can he be that guy? Yes. Am I counting on it? Not necessarily as much as I want to, but he is your one guy for the points you brought up about Yamamoto, who probably is your quote unquote best pitcher, but the 6-man rotation, the rest he needs coming off injury, take a little bit of that pressure off him. Now, all of a sudden he becomes a great number 2. Buehler's the guy we got to talk about. What do you think about Buehler? I saw what he did against the Rockies, but it's the Rockies. And what worried me was 1K, a lack of swing and miss stuff. What's he going to be in the playoffs?
Yeah, so his most recent outing was against the Padres, where they kind of needed him to help with the clinching. Right. But yeah, you mentioned 1 strikeout. He went 5 innings. I think we need to kind of slow our roll here before we just assume Walker Buehler is back, because if you kind of look at his game logs, he'll be on against the Braves, but then he'll kind of falter against the Rockies. Then he showed up against the Padres once again. But it's kind of hard to know what version of Walker Buehler you're truly going to get. This is a big game pitcher, no doubt about it. And he's at this point, due to the injuries, earned the right to be the number 3 starter. You kind of just have to hope and pray and cross your fingers that he shows up. But this is the reality. And it's foolish to say that Walker Buehler is going to be the 7-inning workhorse out there. 4 or 5 innings, I think, is best case scenario. And if he can get out of there with limiting the damage to under 3 runs, then you take that and you let the bullpen take it from there. And hopefully the offense shows up and we can win this game that Buehler starts 5-3 or 6-2 or
you know what I think?
Whatever.
You know what I think again about Buehler? I love that he's got that bulldog mentality. I love that he really is that competitor. Again, the stuff doesn't match the mentality anymore, but it's that kind of moxie that can get a guy through a postseason. Again, I'm being overly optimistic. I'm not counting on it, but I'm saying, you know what? Buehler's got that mentality for the postseason where I'm like, man, if he can just get that adrenaline going.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't have other options that are better than that, and that's what we got to count on, then that's where I'm at with him, where it's like, you know, that phrase, ride or die. I mean, Buehler's the guy, and let's just go. The question becomes the bullpen, right? Like, there's a lot of arms, a lot of good arms. It always makes me leery to count on that many arms every single night. It's a tough proposition.
Totally fair. All right, let's get to some of these comments here. If you haven't hit that like button yet, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button as well. Brian, massive Echo Park has a very underrated Chicago deep dish pizza.
Masa.
I have not been there, but
Not either.
there is a place in Long Beach that also has a deep dish pizza. And I'm crazy enough to say it's actually better than Chicago pizza. I've been to Chicago, and this place in Long Beach is better. I just got to, of course, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but Rance's Chicago Pizza. Highly recommend in Long Beach.
Tell you what, there's a place in Sherman Oaks called Geno's East, which is the only Geno's outside of Chicago that has a fantastic deep dish. I also think deep dish is a different entity than pizza. It is pizza, but like, if I'm like, I feel like pizza, let's go get a slice. It's not deep dish. I feel like it's a different thing, and not to disparage it, but it's almost like, how do you compare deep dish with like a regular New York slice? That's just my take.
Los Dodgers WS champs. Hey, that's the LA in a minute guy. Yes. Look at that. You're like a celeb out here.
Oh, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for loving LA and being LA, guys. Hold on. I like Bo Affliction didn't do a post about 50-50. You know what's funny, man? I really, really, really wanted to do a 50 facts about Shohei Ohtani for that. And like, I was doing the math on that. I try to keep my videos under 3 minutes. That would have been 3 seconds per fact. I don't know if that was possible, but because I couldn't do that, I didn't do a post about the 50-50, but I did think about it, and I was seriously considering it because I did want to cover it. So much love on that, and that's fair.
Maria G, do you guys think Henriquez will make the postseason roster? So that's the rookie Edgardo Henriquez. He made a couple appearances for the Dodgers, looked filthy. That's going to be a tough call. Well, basically, to kind of cover that, they already said Tony Gonsolin won't be on the NLDS roster.
I didn't hear that. Thank you for telling me that. Okay.
And then, Brusdar Graterol is injured with the shoulder inflammation. So we'd have to kind of dive through it. Do I think he'll be on there? I'm not sure yet. I'd have to, maybe if we have time, we'll go through it. Or if someone drops a super chat, then I'll really go through it. But he's a maybe right now. I'd have to elaborate, or I'd have to do some digging to answer your question. I would love to have him on, though. Let's see what else we got here.
What about Brazier? Aang asked about Brazier. That was a good question too. I don't know what are we looking at?
I'll get there, but yes, and Ryan Brazier is a lock. He will be on there. That's a no doubter.
I've been seeing Kenny Chung. I just want to give him a shout out because he's got some good contributions. By the way, Kenny, better than Lou Malnati's, just to go back to that. I love Lou Malnati's. Is it better? It's very close. That's all I'm going to say. I just want to give you a shout out. You made some good comments too, so I wanted to answer that. Go
Alfonso Lucio, LA in a minute fire. Here's a question coming from Los Dodgers WS Champs, and everyone drop your questions. We'll get to them. I'm scrolling through the chat right now. Everyone on Twitter is doubting the LA rotation. How far do you guys think this team can go with the pitching we have? Start with you, Evan.
Look, baseball is crazy, and we can win the World Series with the pitching we have. I mean, you want to go top to bottom, full bullpen, everybody performs. Yes, you can win the World Series. Realistically, the rotation has made me leery the entire year. Postseason's here. Flaherty and Yamamoto are both number 2 or 3 in my book. That leaves us without a number 1, which is a tough situation. How do you match up with a Chris Sale? How do you match up with a Dylan Cease? Is it all reliant on the offense? Offense is obviously incredible. Like Kev said, they're rolling right now. And any offense with 3 MVPs and Ohtani after one of the best years is pretty tough to beat. I don't feel super confident, but things can change. Let's see how it turns out. I'm not super confident, but I feel better than I did last year. Even though the Dodgers maybe were in a better situation last year, I felt weird going in that postseason. This year, even though the rotation's in tatters, 98 wins. Roberts has that I know Roberts is maligned and polarizing. He has that confidence, and I think he instills something in the team, and I'm like, I'm with it. Let's go. What's your take, Kev? I know that wasn't a resoundingly opinionated answer, but that's how I feel. Go on. What's your take?
Here are the cold, hard facts. People are going to be worried about the Dodgers rotation because it's thin on paper. But ultimately, at the end of the day, yeah, maybe the pitching could cost them a game. But this team is going to go as far as its offense can take them. The pitching will give up 3 to maybe 4 or 5 runs on a bad night. But the Dodgers offense is going to have to be there. They can't get by winning games 2-1 or 1-0. The offense at a minimum is going to have to probably put up 4 runs, if not more. The guys like Shohei Ohtani, he wants it. Of course, no worries there. But Mookie Betts has to get the monkey off his back, get some postseason hits. Freddie Freeman's a question mark with the ankle injury, but he had a bad postseason last season. He's got to kind of redeem himself. And then the Max Muncies of the world, the Will Smiths, the whole supporting cast, they have to show up, do their part. So not too worried about the rotation. Kind of to highlight Yoshinobu Yamamoto's first season with the Dodgers, finished 7-2 with a 3 flat ERA over 18 starts.
Do you have Ks? Do you have Ks in innings?
90 innings thrown, 105 strikeouts.
Okay.
Looking at his pitch mix, opponents were only able to hit 170 against his splitter.
He's nasty.
214 against the curve, and then 262 against the 4-seamer. Those were his 3 best pitches, all high value and well above league average.
I mean, look, there were times where he looked like an ace, where he felt like an ace. I don't feel like he's going to do that every time, but he can be that guy. Flaherty does it for 3 innings, 4 innings. Can he do it for 6, 4 times? I don't know. We'll see. How do you feel? We haven't touched on Landon Knack, and maybe there's a reason, but how do you feel those games that he's going to be, hopefully plural, those games that he'll be starting? What's your take? Give me your breakdown.
Yeah, my prediction is Landon Knack won't be starting for the Dodgers. They will use him out of the bullpen. Someone mentioned Ryan Brazier. He'll probably start the game for the Dodgers. They've been kind of flirting with that and trying it out the last couple of weeks. Ryan Brazier as an opener. They'll probably do that. Then they might go to Landon Knack after that. But yeah, Landon Knack wouldn't go probably more than 4 innings. Once you get to the 5th inning, for sure, they'll get to the bullpen and just use those guys as an anchor. But I mean, this is what they did in 2020. They like start with May or Gonsolin or have them come out of the pen, and they didn't get that many outs. They just went straight to the bullpen. We don't have someone like Urias in our back pocket, though, to bring out of the pen in the late innings, and it doesn't really look like there's anyone on this roster that's going to emerge due to injuries and fulfill that role. But it'll just have to be a bunch of guys out of the bullpen, 8 or 9 guys maybe pitching in one game, and hope they hunker down the fort.
8 or 9 guys pitching in one game, and we all know that it's so tough that any one guy can have an off day any day. It's tough. I keep seeing no Kelly. I keep seeing all this Kelly hate in the chat. What do we think about Kelly, honestly?
My intuition tells me Joe Kelly will be on the postseason roster because there's been a number of injuries lately. Joe Kelly or Henriquez might be the final spot, and they would probably go with Joe Kelly because he's won multiple World Series. He's a veteran. He knows what that environment is like versus Henriquez, who started the year in single A. No knock on him, but the Dodgers, the Dodgers, in my opinion, aren't usually a team that wants to risk it with guys that lack experience like that.
Right.
And they'll favor the veteran,
which is leaning CT3, but Kiermaier's a veteran. But
I was actually about to say the same thing of why that argument is so tough, because they're both veterans, and Pages has kind of already made his way up the ladder, and they said he should be on. So I'd be kind of shocked if they didn't have Pages on. But I mean, this bullpen you should feel good about. I want to actually highlight these guys at year end. Alex Vesia, what a season. Through 67 games for the Dodgers, had a 1.76 ERA, which looks like, from what I saw, was 13th best all time in the Dodgers franchise history for a reliever. 66 innings, 87 strikeouts. He was a machine for this team and was a consistent force. Blake Trinan had a really good bounce back as well. I did not realize how well he pitched. He finished the year with a 1.93 ERA through basically 47 innings, 56 strikeouts.
He's so nasty.
He got Anthony Bonda back as well. He went 50 innings, 50 strikeouts, a 3 ERA. And then the other guys like Kopech, Phillips, they exist as well.
They're great. They're great.
Yes.
It's a good pen, man. It's like, for real, it's a scary pen in a good way. Like, if you're looking at those arms, you're like, who's even the guy you want to get to if you're an opposing team? Those are some nasty, nasty arms. Kelly, when he's on, Enriquez, I mean, there's a lot there. But again, you can't use 5, 6, 7 guys a night. That's the one thing that scares me as a Dodger fan, even with how good those arms are. So that's
I want to get. Yeah, absolutely. I want to get to the super chat. Just noticed that. Thank you so much, Dennis Gonzalez. Really appreciate it. Let's see what we've got tonight. How awesome is it? The Dodgers Foundation and the city of Hawthorne, his hometown, are partnering to bring 2 new youth baseball fields to Jim Thorpe Park.
That's cool. That's really cool. First of all, Hawthorne, shout out. Beach Boys. Also, a group called Coyote, who I really support. Current like hip hop group. They do stuff with Be Real. They have a song with Shaq, actually. But I'm always a supporter of youth baseball. I had an episode about Los Angeles being the baseball epicenter of the entire world. We produce more big league players than any other city. I'm a firm believer the Southern California sunshine, the athleticism, just the fields, the community support. It's a baseball city, which is more and more rare with football and basketball and all these other options and stuff. So I love that. And honestly, Dodgers Foundation, shout out. City of Hawthorne, big time shout out. More youth baseball fields, more youth baseball support. Good for the sport, good for the future, good for LA. I'm all for it. I do want to know the story of Jim Thorpe Park, though, because I don't know what connection Jim Thorpe has with LA, and that's actually very interesting. But
there you go. That's a future LA in a minute for you right there.
There you go.
No, I'm completely on board as well. This is one of the biggest community causes that I want to help support in the near future, is continuing to bring sports to communities like this and grow games so that the younger crowd has these athletics that they can turn to, because it goes a long way. And there should be as much opportunity for young athletes out there to eventually hopefully go pro one day, if that's their ambition. And yeah, you can take a quick break. Evan, don't worry. I just got your text. I'll hold down the fort while he's out. So I'll get to some questions real quick and continue to drop those questions, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. It goes a long way. Question from Dodger Blue 82: the starting lineup, do we keep the current lineup or do we mix it up? I don't think Dave is one to really mix up the Dodgers lineup. I think the 9 guys that you're seeing out there on a regular basis, that's going to be the Dodgers starting lineup. It'll be Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar, Muncy, Smith, Edman, Rojas, and Lux, with probably Kike platooning with Lux if a lefty is starting for the opposition. So let's see what else we've got going. We already covered Eng's question about Flaherty or Yamamoto. Alex Ranteria, what's going on, Alex? Thank you for tuning in. Hate that Buehler and Knack have to pitch on the road. Yeah, but I mean, Walker Buehler is someone you'll definitely kind of gamble with because he's been there and done that a lot of times. So I'm not too nervous about either of those guys, to be honest. I mean, I like Landon Knack. He seems like he has the mental attitude. Maybe just the stuff needs to be there to be a guy that could pitch a big game for the Dodgers. So I'm good with that. What's up, Javier T? So glad the Dodgers have the week off for once. Hopefully it helps the Dodgers. Me too. Manuel, who's Panda? I don't know who Panda is. Are you talking about Pablo Sandoval? Are you talking about Panda Express? Either way, I'm not a fan of either of them because one's a giant and the other one I'm not that crazy about. Okay. Bo Affliction, something about nothing there. We're going to skip that. Let's see what else we've got here. Dennis's super chat. Thank you so much, Dennis. Appreciate all your guys' comments. This chat is just on fire.
Coming back. I'm going to be back in 25 seconds.
Steve Moore, thoughts on Honeywell's new hairstyle? Honestly, I have not seen Brent Honeywell's new hairstyle. So someone would have to send me a picture because I currently do not know what it looks like, but hopefully him styling his hair was not what led to the finger injury. JF, what's going on, JF? Last year, Freddie and Mookie went 1 for 19 against Arizona with nobody to pick up the slack. This year's additions of Shohei and Teoscar arriving, driving them in to do better. 100%. I mean, Teoscar Hernandez is going to be huge for the Dodgers.
He's the fire guy.
Yeah. Joel Plenta, chat. Who do you guys want the Dodgers to face in the NLDS? I cannot answer this question because every time I do, it backfires and then that team beats us.
Can I ask you, do we have is the schedule plotted out yet? Is it for sure we're playing either blank, or is it all up in the air at this point?
It's for sure we're playing Padres and then blank.
Okay, I saw that. Okay. So it can't be the reason I asked is it can't be the Padres in the NLCS.
Yeah.
That's who I would love to beat in the NLCS, but because it can't be them, listen, I think Dodgers Phillies would be a heavyweight title fight. Like, I think that's the quote unquote premier matchup. But man, listen, I'm on pins and needles every game. And you know how playoff baseball is. My wife always said she was a baseball fan, but she didn't really get it till we got married and she lived with me. Every playoff game, you're like biting your nails by the third inning of every game. Like, the regular season is so relaxed and there's so many games. Then in the playoffs, every pitch matters. So who we play, as long as the Dodgers keep winning, I don't care. I don't want to beat anybody, I want to beat everybody. It doesn't like matter to me, if you will.
Right on board with you. All right. Whew, I can breathe. I've caught up with the chat, so you can still drop your questions in. We got about 12 more minutes or so left on the show. Elizondo, what's going on? Love your LA Minute shows, especially the one about Pioneer Chicken. I grew up with Pioneer Chicken that used to be on Victory Boulevard in between Coldwater and Ethel in North Hollywood.
Is that, Elias, is the Victory in Coldwater near where the Vallarta is now, or is that Van Owen? But either way, Pioneer, I used to go to the one on Parthenia and Woodley. My dad would take me every Friday. And for those of you that are too young, Pioneer Chicken was the fried chicken in LA. KFC stayed out of LA because Pioneer ran LA. And there were 200 in LA County, but the organization folded because the founder bought a city called Blue Jay near Lake Arrowhead and tried to make it another resort town, started commingling funds, all this kind of stuff. The FBI got wind. They shut down all the Pioneers. Popeyes bought them. except for two, which are in Boyle Heights and Bell Gardens, which are still as dope as you remember. But Pioneer was awesome, and it was the chicken that ran LA. So Elias, big time shout out.
Oh man, I feel like I missed out, and I never got to go. But
it's all right. There are two left, Boyle Heights and Bell Gardens. So if you're ever over there, check them out.
That'd be a drive, but I might
Can
have to do it.
Drop a stat on you guys, a fact that I don't think people appreciate?
Let's do it.
I don't know if people know LA in a minute. I mean, some people do, and thank you. But for the people that don't, what I love to do is find like these facts about LA that I'm like, I don't know how people didn't know this. Like, we're all such big Dodger fans, right? Let me ask you, Kevin, maybe you know. What was the Dodgers' original team name when they were in Brooklyn?
Was it Bridegrooms or Robins?
Those are great guesses. Good for you. And most people say Trolley Dodgers, right? Which is a good guess because they were the Trolley Dodgers. And that's where the Dodgers came from. But I'm going to go backwards. They were the They were the Dodgers. Are the Dodgers. They were the Trolley Dodgers. Before that, they were the Super Bows, the Bridegrooms, the Grooms, the Bridegrooms again. And I'm going backwards. The Atlantics. But when the Dodgers first started, the Brooklyn franchise first started in 1883, they were the Brooklyn Grays.
Okay.
Yes, I love those facts. Nobody talks about it. It's one of those things where I'm like, we know the Dodgers so well, and we do celebrate the Dodger history, even going back to Brooklyn. But like, people don't realize that they were the Brooklyn Grays before they were the Bridegrooms, before they were the Robins, before they were the Trolley Dodgers. So I just like that stat. I wanted to throw it out there.
That's really cool. Yeah, good shit right there. I want to talk about Shohei Ohtani, but before I do that, I got a personal announcement to make.
Let's go.
This is about myself, so I don't normally talk about too much about my personal life, but this year has been kind of a new year for me. We got a puppy, Clover. Some of you have seen Clover. We got fans of Clover. But I found out before the season begun I was going to be a first-time dad. And so no one knows that, but I have a baby girl on the way who's due Halloween, and there's a possible chance that she might be born during this Dodgers World Series run. So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that maybe the Dodgers can clinch the World Series on the day she's born.
Kev, first of all, congratulations. But second of all, you want to know what's dope about that? I have a son. Look, and I'm not taking the sunshine. I'm sharing with you. My son's birthday is November 1st. His due date was Halloween. And this is when he's turning 11 this year. So this is right when the Dodgers were really starting this recent run. And so it was kind of new. But what I've had and what you're sure to enjoy with your daughter to be is that their like birth season is during the World Series. And my son in 2017, you remember which World Series that was? The Astros one.
Of course.
His birthday was on Game 7 of the World Series. And it was his 4th birthday. So he wasn't old enough to stay 9 innings. We'd gone to a few games, but he wasn't staying 9 innings. We got tickets for that game. And I was like, oh my God, do I go to Game 7 of the World Series and miss my son's birthday? Who do I go with? Do I go with a friend? Do I go with my wife and we both miss his birthday? Do I take him and he wants to leave in like the 4th inning of Game 7? So I gave those tickets to a close friend.
Oh.
And even though I may or may not have regretted, I don't know if I would have regretted. I probably would have regretted not being in Game 7. I didn't regret not being at that Game 7.
Yeah.
But the fact is, every year it's exciting. And the year the Dodgers won the World Series was during his birth season. And it's really cool. And it gives him extra juice for the Dodgers and for baseball and for the postseason. So you're going to love it. And congratulations. And that's big time news, man. And that's the best news you can get. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone in the chat as well. Wishing me a congratulations. Appreciate it. Very excited. My wife just had her baby shower yesterday. Wow. All the family and friends that were able to support her. Thank you guys as well. It was a great weekend for everyone. And yeah, to many great memories. I'm excited. We'll see how I manage this podcast and being a first-time dad, but we'll make it work somehow. So as long as the Dodgers in Los Angeles, I don't plan to go anywhere.
Dude, good job, man. Congratulations. And yay. And she's born in the perfect season. May the Dodgers keep on winning and you get to keep having these October and early November dilemmas of postseason or baby, which do I prioritize right now? So we'll see. But yeah.
Just dropped in the chat as well. We're doing an Evan Phillips bobblehead giveaway. So I'll post the link afterwards as well. It's on our X feed. But basically, I gave a promo code last time for extra entries. I'll do another one this time. Let's go with, we'll just say, mention Evan Phillips in the comments, and you get 3 raffle entries. So there you go. Free Evan Phillips bobblehead. So let's close this out with Shohei Ohtani, and then we'll get Evan's final thoughts and anything else he wants to cover. But, I mean, what a season for Shohei Ohtani. First season as a Los Angeles Dodger, going to the postseason as we all know for the first time in his career. And what a season to remember. First of all, in the month of September, he finished hitting about 398 with a 1200 OPS, 10 home runs, 32 RBIs, 16 stolen bases. One of the few players ever, maybe the only player, if I read it correctly, that had 10 plus home runs and 10 plus stolen bases in back-to-back months. And Shohei Ohtani has broken all kinds of records, and that would be a full episode if we were talking about just everything Shohei Ohtani accomplished this season. I mean, the guy broke the all-time Japanese-born stolen base record in a season that Ichiro owned, the first ever player to have 45, let alone ended up finishing with 54 home runs and 59 stolen bases on the year, hit 310 with a 390 on base, 646 slugging, 54 home runs, 130 RBIs, 134 runs scored, 59 stolen bases, a WAR over 9, the greatest DH the game has ever seen. Didn't even have to throw a pitch this season and yet amassed a WAR over 9. Caught fire with runners in scoring position near the end of the year, carried this Dodgers team in a number of series, had that big walk-off grand slam against the Tampa Bay Rays, and some big moments throughout the year. I mean, this guy has just been incredible. Like the most hard hit balls ever by a Dodger in a season, absolutely. Just killing the baseball. And everyone dropping Evan Phillips. It's not going to work in the live chat. You have to come back after the show's over and comment in the comment section. Sorry to not clarify that, but yeah, you got to comment after the show's over in the comment section. So yeah, Shohei Ohtani, man, what a season.
I'll tell you what. First of all, who said he wanted 60? Joel Puente. I wanted 60 also. Not to be greedy, but I totally agree with you. Kev, can you tell me how many strikeouts and walks he had? And I'm curious. I genuinely don't know because every other stat you read was so impressive. I'm actually curious. Do you have a strikeout and walk totals?
Yes. So he ended up finishing with 162 strikeouts.
A lot, but it's baseball today. Okay.
That's the second most he's ever had in a season.
Right. We'll take it.
And then for walks, 81 walks.
It's good.
Which is third highest he's ever finished a season with.
So listen, I'm going to be fully honest here. It took me 5 years to really buy into Shohei. Everybody else is seeing it. I'm like, I just don't believe I could. Maybe it's because he was in Anaheim and maybe, I don't know. I just wasn't buying Shohei. And then when the Dodgers signed him, I was like, oh man, are they mortgaging the future? Like, I know this guy's good, but my son is going to be in his 20s, in the 2030s. Is the franchise going to be like hamstrung because blah, blah, blah. Bro, I can't believe, and again, I'm not saying anything that anybody hasn't thought of, but I cannot believe what kind of player this guy is every game. Again, the proverbial, like sometimes he's just poking it and he goes oppo for a bomb. And then like every line drive, base hits to right, exit velo 111. And you're like, dude, that was just a base hit to right. I mean, the guy's ridiculous. He thinks, it seems like he's Superman, like at the plate.
Yeah.
I feel like there hasn't been a guy like this since Barry Bonds. And that says a lot because Bonds was the best player I ever saw. And
yeah,
Ohtani's completely different, special, does it with the stolen bases. And now he's showing the emotion. I mean,
oh yeah.
Let's go. Can he carry us in October? Let's see some we've never seen, man. Somebody said he's about to become the next Mr. October. Who said that? I want to give Manuel about to become the new Mr. October. I hope you're right, and it could carry the team, man.
This is what Shohei Ohtani has mostly been waiting for. The records are cute. They're awesome. And like Moose said, we're going to talk about them for the rest of our lifetimes. He came to Los Angeles in year one, smashed Sean Green's home run single season record with the ball club of 49. 54 is now the new record. But Ohtani, at the end of the day, came here to win a World Series, if not multiple World Series. And he is going to be so hungry to just make a mark in October. And as great as he's been in the regular season, it's what you do in October that makes you become an immortal, in my opinion. Without the hardware of October championships, you're not among the best of the best until you win a World Series. And that's what I hope the difference between a guy like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout is, because I feel like Mike Trout, we talked about him as one of the GOATs. And because he didn't do it in October, there's been a lot of steam blown off, and we don't talk about Mike Trout in the same vein that we once did. Shohei Ohtani is the new face of baseball. He's the best player on this planet. I mean, just look at the difference of what he did with the Angels versus the Dodgers. 54 home runs is a career high. His previous career high was 46. 100 RBIs was his career high. 130 is now his new career high. He's got people driving him in. 103 runs scored was his career high.
130 RBIs from the leadoff spot primarily? Is that what I'm understanding right there?
Yeah. And now 134 runs scored.
That's insane.
This is just maybe the greatest offensive season I've ever seen. Yeah, so that is what made 2024 special, is mostly Shohei Ohtani, not only with what he did on the field, but he just brought a passion, a spark that really fired up his teammates. And because of his attitude, I feel like a lot of the other Dodgers players, it lit a fire under them and they started playing with some passion as well. And so the Ohtani effect is real, and regular season's in the books now. Now it's what you do in October.
Oh, man. All right. Starts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 6 days from today, huh?
Yes.
Ooh, let's go. Let's see. Kenny Chung, thank you for repping Bo Jackson. Greatest athlete I ever saw. Just got to say that. Good job on that.
And yeah, like Dennis mentioned, Ohtani's first home run was against the Giants. It was perfect. It was perfect. All right, well, we're about an hour in now. Evan, I want to be sensitive to your time. I don't know how much time left you have tonight, but is there anything else you want to cover? Any questions, any facts, anything LA, anything Dodgers that you want to make sure you get thrown onto this episode?
Can I just tell a story, a classic LA in a minute story, for people who might not be familiar? I think this is important. I think it's significant. The high five was invented at Dodger Stadium. That is a true story. You can look up the research. There's no tangible claims prior to that. And the way it went down was the last day of the 1977 season. Dusty Baker, yes, that Dusty Baker, had 29 home runs. There were 3 Dodgers already in the clubhouse with 30 homers. They were about to be the first team ever with 4 guys with 30 homers. Big deal in the 1970s. They're facing the Astros. There was a pitcher named J.R. Richard. He only had about 3-4 years of spectacular performance, but they were amazing. He had a 300 strikeout season, 6'8" guy, threw about 100 at a time where nobody was throwing 100. Dodgers are facing him at Dodger Stadium. Dusty Baker's up there against J.R. Richard. Home run. Boom. Deep into the pavilion. 30th home run. The crowd's going nuts. This was a big deal. Baseball is America's pastime. Dodgers were on the way to another World Series season, 1977. They lost the Yankees, but they were going to the World Series. They won division. As Dusty Baker's rounding third, a young, exuberant rookie named Glenn Burke, who happened to be in the on-deck circle, was so excited for Baker hitting his 30th home run, throws his hand in the air. Dusty Baker didn't know what to do. He's like, all right, slaps it. That moment was immortalized. First high five. So incredible that it was on the Dodger preseason program for the next 3 years, even as Steve Garvey surpassed Baker as the most popular Dodger. The high five was immortalized on the Dodger program and souvenir program, invented in Dodger Stadium. The low five had been around since the late 1930s, but that was the first high five, and it happened in Dodger Stadium last day of the season, 1977. So I think that's a cool Dodger fact. It's a cool LA fact. High five still lives. And just remember that it started at Dodger Stadium, and that's really cool.
I'm glad that's kind of how we ended the episode. Some of the people I see in the chat, their minds are blown right now because I guess they had no idea. I had read that before because I actually Googled it. I was like, how did the high five started? So it was exactly what you just said. And I'm surprised how recent it is. Like 1977 is not that long ago.
I did you could do the research. There were a couple claims. The Indiana University basketball team claimed it. There was one other, but ESPN, back when they were like a journalistic entity, did the digging, debunked all of it. The first tangible high five was Dodger Stadium last day of the season, 1977.
Awesome. Well, Evan, I want to give you a chance to just promote everything you're up to. LA in a minute. I don't think I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure I've heard you on commercials now. You're all over the place.
Listen, if you love LA, if you even like LA, even if you hate LA, LA is an intriguing, fun, historic place with a lot of culture and some awesome people. And I try to uncover all that. So follow LA in a minute, whatever platform, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, YouTube. I have a podcast, In a Minute with Evan Lovett. But again, support the Incline Pod. We're here with Kevin. LA in a minute. I do what I can for LA. Keep loving LA. Keep enjoying the city. This is the best city on the globe. And go Dodgers. I'm more optimistic now than I was a month ago, and I'm excited about the postseason. And man, I want a real ring and a real parade. Let's get a parade this year. Go Dodgers. Thank you, Kevin. And let's win the World Series.
I'll have to respect Aaronetics' wishes. Get the 7 guy on the show more.
Let's do it, Aaron.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. 2024 regular season is in the books. Your Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They've got to buy. We'll talk some more Dodgers throughout the week. Get you guys pumped up and ready for the postseason. Make sure you've hit that subscribe button if you're listening on the audio feed. Rate and review this episode. Let us know what your thoughts were with Evan joining us. Follow LA in a minute. And if you're watching on the YouTube page, hit that like button. And like I said, 10 minutes ago or so, comment in the comment section if you want that Evan Phillips bobblehead opportunity. Just mention Evan Phillips and you guys are in the running. So have a good night, everyone. Have a good week ahead. And